Been rocking lately. Freaking I believe in you and me. I believe that we will be in love eternally. Well, as far as I can. Oh, Whitney Houston. Like Whitney Houston.
I feel Whitney when she sings it.
Hey everybody, it's your boy Jay Zilla. This is the What the FRAP podcast. I will be having with me Urban Academia's finest co-host and then guest. I'm gonna work on that. So Chulo Rich, Jazzy J are in the building. My beautiful wife and co-host slash producer slash everything, really. Say hi, wife.
What's up?
So tonight we're gonna be talking about communication, getting it right, getting it wrong, all the things, right? Anyway, we're gonna start the intro. Please share, like, subscribe, comment. And let me tell you something. Quick, don't tell nobody I told y'all this. Go ahead and send us some stars. We'll greatly appreciate it. Again, this is the What the FRAP podcast, and it's coming at you in 3. Like and share.
This morning, a violent weather outbreak bringing tornadoes to Florida's Atlantic coast.
Now to that urgent and massive manhunt after that deadly mass shooting near Houston. The youngest victim just 8 years old. Police say the suspect. International High School of New Orleans is making quite an impression on the college admission.
Dennis Barnes has gone into 125 colleges and universities. He's also earned millions in scholarships. As for how he did it, well, the teen is very humble and credits hard work and those around.
Hey, what's up, wife? How you doing?
I'm good. It's just Monday.
It is a Monday. See, that's weird for you humans who have your regular jobs, your 9 to 5s. Mondays are quite awful. That's one of my off days. I'm so excited about that. I want to give that to you, the audience, everybody, right? Anyway, why was today a Monday? Can you talk about, WF stuff?
So it was just a Monday because I am super sleepy. I could use several naps, and I feel like every Monday I want to call in, but it gets better. So just Monday.
Man, that sounds like my father. He said he worked for General Motors almost 20 years, and he quit every single morning.
It's not that bad.
Not as bad as GM.
Nah.
Backbreaking, building the automotive industry up. No. Have you had a job like that? Yes, dinner's ready. Thank you so much. Say hi to the audience. No. You come over here and you say hi to the audience. You're going to talk off mic. Now you got to get on mic and say something. Come say hi. Go ahead.
No hablo inglés.
Get your New Mexican in out of here. Is dinner ready? Jeez. Anywho, welcome to What the FRAP podcast. We're trying to figure out what the FRAP is going on in a myriad of different things. Is it okay if we bring out our superstar guest tonight? Is that all right?
You want to play a clip of her first?
Oh, you know what? I feel like we talked about this in pre-production. And this is why you need a wife. Producer. Both. You know what? Go ahead, play your clip.
In my personal experience, my most successful relationship is with Craig, your dear friend. So I feel like we definitely set some boundaries on disagreeable moments or confrontation or whatnot. There are some places you don't go, and if either one of us violates that, it's like a deal breaker. So, I think that we set those boundaries first, and the trust came with just fulfilling, the terms of the negotiation that we came to. Once both of us fulfilled those sides, I think the trust came with that. So I would say the negotiation came first. I think that's a really good foundation to start on, especially if you have trust issues. That's something that you need to work on. I think it's best to have good negotiating skills or communication.
All right, that was her on Urban Academia. She'll be featured this coming up Saturday. She is here to sell you the show. Welcome, one Can I say Jazzy J? That's just your internet name from now on.
That's a bet. What's up,
All right.
everybody?
What's up, everybody? So yeah, man, do you remember that clip at all? That conversation?
No, I don't. Not at all.
Surprise! All right, it was basically a chicken or the egg scenario, which came first, and I believe it was trust or negotiation because we were talking about communication like we often do, because we humans, and I'm being very liberal when I say we humans. I'm not sure about myself these days, but what I will say, humans are very bad at communicating. We
Yeah.
talked about this off air. We talked about this on air. Tell me a little bit about yourself, first off, and what ways have you seen communication fail miserably?
So I'm a physician assistant. That's like a mid-level provider. So I treat and diagnose and see patients all day long. So communicating is it is a skill you have to master as a provider. So um in a way that it's gone wrong. I count the ways. Dang, it's hard to pick just one. I think sometimes, okay, when you have to deliver some sensitive news, right?
Mhm.
If you are too impersonal with it, especially if you're talking about like losing a loved one, that would take like some compassion and whatnot. And if you do not come off as like compassionate, things could get mighty ugly. And if you're like too kind of stoic about it, and like depersonalized from it. And a lot of times, like providers, anybody actually in the healthcare field will depersonalize themselves from a very sad situation just for their own sake. But if you, kind of project that onto the family members, things get gnarly in there.
Gnarly, I love that word. Bring back gnarly and high fives and copacetic, right? Yeah, that's crazy. So, how much is your job like? I know you don't really work in the emergency room, or do you? How much is that
I
job like
have.
TV? You say you have?
Yes, like that's a requirement for school. So I did like kind of 2 rounds in the ER.
How'd you find that? Was it like George Clooney's ER? A bunch of people saying blah 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 ounces of yada 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 Latin word here and
No, I
there.
like the ER. I actually like the ER because, and I was actually terrified of it at first. My first day, I was so scared. I
Mhm.
didn't want to do CPR on anybody. Guess what
Oh.
I get to do my first night? Johnny
Hmm.
Pumper.
Now,
Yeah.
which song are you hearing in your head? Is the
Uh,
staying alive?
okay. Do not murder me for this medical community, but mine is
Oh
another
man.
one bites the dust because the bass line is so easy to follow for me. I can count to it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Note
6,
to self:
7.
never let jazz try to resuscitate me because I don't want any kind of energy about me biting any
Let
kind of dust.
me just say, I almost brought a man back into rhythm my first night with that
Uh-huh.
song in my head, and I will never every time I hear it, I think about that moment. It's like I go back to pumping on that man's chest, and
Whoa.
I almost brought him back into rhythm. We shocked him one more time, and he came back.
Okay, because you said almost. That had me nervous. Like you got to retire that song if you lose your first one.
No, man. That's it was fortunate that he kind of went down while he was in the room
Oh my
instead of
goodness,
coming to us already down. So that makes a big difference.
I cannot imagine. So your day to day, how much communication are you using with patients? How much are you using with coworkers on the floor and off the floor? Because I know that communication has to switch up from time to time, right?
Right. So now I work in a outpatient type of setting and doing like primary care. So and so you see like a gamut of things. Uh
Mhm.
some are like urgencies and some are emergencies and then some are like, you know, just letting them kind of helping them work through life sometimes, you know.
Oh man.
So it's you have to know how to talk to people on their level, and
Right.
so you kind of have to, fill them out. And but honestly, I kind of present myself as like very open, and
Mm-hmm.
I think, and I've always kind of had that air about me because one of my party tricks is strangers telling me their deepest darkest secrets.
Man.
And which is weird, weird flex, but yeah. So I just kind of fill them out, come in, I'm like, hi, introduce myself, I'll be taking care of you today,
Right.
tell me why you're here, and we just
My dog shot me, Tech Gummy. Let me tell you about what happened to me when I was 12. Like, no, you're not alone in this. I have the same issue. Wife, I know you got a good story about a time that someone just kind of unloaded on you. Like, can I talk about the WF? I can't talk about where you work. I can't say like the kind of around. Like if I say finance, am I gonna get in trouble?
You can say finance.
Okay. And if I say jail, jargo, like nothing, am I allowed to do that? So what?
No.
What's the time that you were just like, hello, my name is Asher Gales, and boom, it just unloaded on you.
My whole life. I feel like it's not necessarily even people just unloading. It's just what people think. You know what? I should talk about this at the bank. I had a lady tell me one time how she had just returned from a nude retreat, and
Ooh.
there were other details involved. So I think, listen, so he's saying this, right? I'm gonna tell you a story about something that happened to him.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so I want you.
No, I know exactly where you're going.
So
You're
let
not
me
gonna
just
mute
say,
me, are you? Wait a minute. Objection.
okay. So here's what went down. So we were going to a church, okay. And so we go through the church service. And no, so let me just tell you, we used to live in this little small town. And so the church, like literally, we were the youngest people there, and everybody else there was over the age of 60. Okay. I'm not joking. Like our family was the one young family, but the pastor was Southern. And so that did something for us, right? So now let me also mind you, we live in New Mexico, and there is a 2% population of Black people in New Mexico, and we are 1% of that 2%. Okay. So we're at church. It's the end of service. We're, going around how you do at the end of church, and people are saying bye and whatever. So this lady comes up to him and says, you remind me of one of my young lovers, or a former lover, I think is what she said to him at church, in the church house. And this lady
house of God,
literally maybe a little short, 5 foot something, old little white lady, had to easily be her late 70s, early 80s. And she was letting him know,
madam.
Now, and this is why we're toting around our baby. So she was just like, hey, I just want you to know.
Record.
I couldn't even be mad. I was like, you know what? I suppose at 80, anything can happen. You know what? At 80, I might hit on somebody else's husband too. I don't know. We'll see.
Listen, man. Something about me in a suit, it really gets people. I don't even have to be a full suit. So my wife has the arduous task of making me look semi-presentable when we go out to places, like her little fancy gala, whatever it is, or go out to eat or something. And so what I do is I swap out my hoodie and sweatpants for like some Dickies and a blazer, right? Clean up well. I have to say, right? Is that a humble brag? Is that okay?
Humble.
Fair enough. But yeah, man, what are some of those moments where, okay, here's a good one. You knew for sure that you understood somebody and what they were saying, and then it turns out later you were absolutely wrong.
that happens to me all the time.
Unfortunately,
All the time. All the time. Like, to the point where I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm the problem here. Like, I'm just not.
The
Like,
common denominator.
Let me ask you a question, because
I'm just not.
you're in the medical profession. So is this a situation where people are like, my toe hurts, and then you find out actually this has nothing to do with my foot at all, but I was too embarrassed to say, like, you know what I mean? Because I would have to imagine that would be more of the problem. Because look, I've been in weird situations where I'm like, you're at the place and they're like, what are you here for? And you're like, seriously, everybody needs to know what I'm here for. Like, I need to see a medical provider. Well, why? What's wrong with you?
We gotta know. We can't
not in front of everybody else that's waiting there to see a doctor either. Y'all be wrong for that. And I feel like you're like, let's see what crazy thing this person's gonna say, because that is the emergency room, urgent cares, all of them. It's like in front, they ask you this question, fill out all this paperwork and tell me what's wrong. I'm not even kidding. Last time I had to go to the urgent care, I was like, I refuse to say. I'll write it down for you. I'm not even joking. And I wrote it down. And the lady looks at it and she just because she got it. She was like, oh, I see.
Yeah.
Y'all be trying to play us out here in these streets.
Okay, how is sorry for the cough, I know it's fine. How is our communication as a couple, do you think, wife? Are there times that we're just out of sync? I wish y'all could see her face right now. Those eyebrows are doing a little river dance over there. Okay. You sure you want to go here, husband?
I'm going to explain it to you like this.
Oh, Lord, help me.
There are times where we're laying in bed at night, and I look over at your sleeping face, and I think, with this pillow right here, it could all be over.
Talk your stuff.
But I don't do it. And so then I say, that's how I know I love you. But murder has been contemplated.
Exactly.
And I assume in every healthy relationship, you've thought about it at least once.
Jazz, is that true?
It's crossed your mind. It's crossed your... Yes. Yes.
Let me ask you this. Has
Truth
Craig ever gotten...
a woman's faith right there, and y'all don't even know. Man. Just sleeping all peaceful and stuff. We over here mad because we can't fall asleep. Just watching you sleep all peaceful.
Preach.
Come on.
Where is Chulo Rich when I need it? I feel so outnumbered right now. Is there anybody, any guys in the comments that we can pull up? Nothing. Nope. Chirps, silence, crickets. Listen, okay. There's a video. Oh man, I wish I had this ready. But it's basically a lady. She's laying beside a guy. No, that's okay. She's laying beside her significant other, and she's just looking at him snoring all peacefully asleep while she can't get to sleep. And she just rears back and slaps the mess out of him. Bow! I mean, fraps him up properly. And then she turns over real quick like she sleep. He pops up. And he's kind of like, looks at her. She's asleep. He's like, oh, back to sleep he went. I just think, like, man, anytime I wake up with a headache, I think, did she sock me?
No, but I do record you sometimes for my giggles.
Listen, those will be Patreon only. If you want to see that, you're going to have to click that link and pay for it.
It's something.
Because I also have the problem of, look, okay, we're talking about communication tonight. I have a problem communicating when I am absolutely asleep.
It's a family trait.
Because the boys do it too. And I'm just like, you were talking in your sleep last night. I was like, oh, Lord, have mercy. What have I said? What have I done? Listen, nothing counts. Nothing I say while I'm asleep counts, right? So,
Craig,
that's so interesting. You're talking in your sleep.
Come on, Craig, help a brother out.
That he says, and I quote, "I communicate perfectly." Shrugs. I mean,
I believe him.
Like the first and the last.
Mm-hmm. What about communication between us and our children? We'll let you take this one first, Jazzy J. Like, how do you feel your communication is going with each of them? Do you find that the dogs are easier to communicate?
The what?
Do you find that the dogs are easier to communicate with than the children at times?
Most certainly. I speak dog though, so it's not
Fair
fair.
enough. Fair enough. She
I'm
gave her kids
bilingual.
way out. I would love to see. Oh, it says you're bilingual. Let's see. English mostly and K9.
Canine. Yeah.
So yeah, how's that communication between you and the kids?
Okay, so actually that's really interesting because our family has been on quite a journey as far as trying to communicate with our family and us communicating with the kids. That is really I would say very delineated from like how we communicated with our parents. It's very different, right? But I
Now,
regret
what are the
nothing.
ages of the kids?
So my kids are 8 and 12, and
Okay.
so and they both have different also communication styles as well. So it's kind of adapting to those things and seeing what works and what does not work. But ultimately, and we've learned this through therapy and whatnot of like how to communicate with each other, even when things get heated, what to do so there's not a screaming match. And you know, and also kind of learning each other's like body language too. Like that was something that we all kind of had to learn through therapy, right? So so that was an interesting journey, and I'm really actually glad that we had it. And it was really it was so hard. But therapy is hard.
Absolutely, man. Just hang in there. That's the only thing I can tell you, parents out there. So you have 12-year-old girl, 8-year-old boy, correct? So we have 18-year-old girl, 14-year-old girl, and our boys are 6 and 4. So I am constantly in a state of fluctuation between communication styles, right? And sometimes it crosses over. Like I catch all kinds of. Only time that girls can get away with an eye roll is when I'm talking to them like I'm talking to the boys. Which is now what you need to do is get your butt up and get ready. Come on. It's like, Dad, I'm 18. It's like, okay. Then I switch into, oh, that's right. I'm talking to the 18-year-old. The FRAP you doing still in bed? You're 18. Get yourself up. What are you doing? You know what I mean? I'm working on it. I'm a work in progress. All right. Who we got?
Oh, I'm a communications master. See, I don't know about Craig Jude, but I am a communications master.
What is it about you money people that just... Oh, I get it.
Listen.
I got it.
Listen. Some people in my house don't listen well.
Don't talk about our kids like that, man.
Them either. And so I feel that to me, it's that thing of talking to be heard, but not talking to actually receive any information.
Oh, man.
That I find is the biggest issue. Is that oftentimes people are literally listening to you speak just to hear you stop talking so they can make the point that they've been holding on to. And sometimes it's like, hey, if you just pull back and just hear what I'm saying, then you will recognize that, hey, what you're going to say is not necessary because I'm addressing it already. But it's like, oh, I got you. Ooh. And in my house, there is this competition to see who can prove me wrong.
Because she's inhuman.
I could see that.
She's inhuman. Every time she makes one itsy bitsy little mistake, it's like, oh, you said a word wrong. Ooh,
the pressure.
You human.
The pressure.
No, she feels no pressure. She's as cold as ice and a daggum robot. Okay, so I have a nephew, and our nephew is 10 years old. Is it sad that he's one of my favorite people to communicate with? If he gets something, yeah, I get it. If he doesn't get it, run that by me again, but another way, maybe a way I can understand. Like he is sometimes over my head. And I mean, it's really cool to see that. And I feel like with older folks, like, I'll just make up a person like my mother. Love you, mommy. What I'm saying is,
It's not a made up person.
it's hard to communicate with people who are older than us or our age, even because a lot of times you run into that. Yeah. No, I got it. Moving on.
Let me just say for the record, Mom, I said none of this.
Oh man, she
I
ain't
think
watching
you're
this
a
past her
wonderful
bedtime.
human. I think you're a great mother, a great listener, a great communicator. So,
Oh
that's
man.
all Jeremy.
Yeah, that's right. I'm safely tucked away in New Mexico. That's all right. I fear nothing. Don't hurt me, mama. So we're gonna go to our next clip, even though he has not yet joined us. But let's highlight a little bit of Chulo Rich. Yeah.
Sometimes you don't know what you will or won't tolerate until you've been confronted with a situation, right? What do you do once you've been married for 10 years and situation arises? Ooh,
Good
that's
question.
cryptic. Right.
Now, I would gather, I don't know, because I've not been there. You know what I mean? But I would gather that if you've been there for 10 years, hopefully you've gathered some sort of communication skills by now. Hopefully. You know what I mean? I understand they may not be there in the beginning, but 10 years in, I would hope that y'all have figured out some kind of way to speak to each other, understand each other. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. So tell me, Chulo Rich, what was the time where you got? Oh, no, he's not here. Just kidding. Listen, man, check us out. We'll be live. We'll be live Saturday, and one Jazzy J will be our special guest. We're gonna be covering some very interesting things. Now, can we talk a little bit about our our private what was it? A private episode that we did this past Saturday?
Yeah. Wait.
Kevin Samuels. He's trying to talk about Kevin Samuels.
Oh,
I'm just saying.
Thank you. Thank you. I was like, huh?
She done stricken it from her memory. She's like, get thee behind thee, Satan. I can't.
It's fine. Catch up, mustard. It's okay.
Catch up, mustard. No, you're good. So, what do you think? Like a guy who made his living off of communicating, right? He had a bunch of stuff to say. Like, what was the main issue as far as Black women versus Kevin Samuels? May he rest in peace. I'll remind you, this man is no longer with us. So be gentle.
That's gonna be his only saving grace, because I have had elders in my life, and I don't speak ill of the dead. Okay, so
okay.
I have calmed down since that conversation. Okay, because sometimes, like when I hear things that are just very I don't know, shallow. Like I just think, man, surely someone who is so well spoken is not that shallow. Like you have to be quite intelligent to be a great orator. Like, I mean, surely you're not that shallow. Like that's really disappointing, and it makes me upset. I don't know. Like sometimes, like and don't get me wrong, like some of the things that he did say that were true, were it was like, okay, yeah, it's true, but like
you're coming at us all wrong.
Yeah, man. Like if you really want to get across if you really want this young lady to understand like where you're coming from, right? And if the motive was for her to understand, that would have been delivered a lot better.
Right. With a little more gentler, right?
Yeah, no, like for real. Like if you want to, he knows that he's a good orator, right? He's a good wordsmith, right? And so he was using it as like weaponry.
Right.
Rather than a tool,
It's very predatory, right?
Yeah, you can use a hammer to kill someone with or to build a house.
So yeah, It's that tactic of weaponizing, like you said, the language, and then just going a step further and bastardizing it, like literally just divorcing it from the context. So I think for me, it was, this was an opportunity. So what the young lady in the clip was saying wasn't inaccurate, but it also was not accurate, right? Or rather, there were some solutions to the concerns that she raised. And instead of actually addressing those concerns, he basically used the solution to bang her over the head, right? So instead of saying, have you considered, these are some things that you can do to try to address some of those concerns, or just saying like, hey, another person in a relationship isn't in and of itself going to fix these traumas that you're talking about. But here are some things that you could do. Have you tried these things? Why haven't you tried these things if you haven't? And instead he was like, I mean, what do Black women do? They go to the church house, okay? Which first is insinuating that going to church, there's something wrong with that.
Right.
But going to the church house instead of seeing a therapist. And it's like, well, maybe you ask a question. So why, if that's your perspective or your perception, if that is true, which I think a lot of us would say, yeah, I can agree to that. Why is it true? Did he address the stigma of mental health in the African American community? Did he address the stigma of mental health in America in and of itself? Did he address the lack of access and the lack of means to actually get these resources and do these things? No, he literally just spoke of it. He really spoke of it from a place of privilege, which is the weird part. It's like, just do this. Well, maybe if I could afford to, I would, Kevin. But if I could, I wouldn't be on here talking to you.
Ash, you are a magnificent wordsmith. Holy moly. That was everything I meant to say on Saturday. Like, oh my gosh. Yes. All of it.
Oh,
well, look, I have also calmed down since then.
Yeah. Man, I cannot speak. Like, that is one of my kryptonites. Speaking of communication, I cannot speak when I'm angry. Like, if I am angry, like, number one, I'm not very I'm not very articulate, and and I can't really get my word across, and all I can say is just how I feel. I can't even really say why I feel it. I just gotta address the elephant in the room. I'm upset. Like, I gotta let you know.
I'm mad.
I am mad.
Sometimes
I cannot.
That compounding effect. It's like, there's no one thing. It's just this last thing you did, it pushed me over. And I will say, so he asked about our communication, and it's funny because I communicate well with pretty much every single other person on the planet except for this guy. It is literally like, it's funny because I feel like our friends are like, oh, you guys have the perfect marriage, and y'all just sing kumbaya, and you hold hands, and y'all do all this stuff. And I'm like, so look, I'm not saying we don't have a great relationship, but I mean, I've already confessed to, fantasizing about potential murder. So it is that thing of, I think, that comfort, right? I think when you're dealing with your mate and somebody you're so comfortable with and you're so vulnerable with, that sometimes it's like, it just is this pressure valve, and I think it gets turned up. And so when you're in the outside world, you're like, hey man, like, I gotta conduct myself this kind of way because these people will cast me off. The assumption is this individual won't, even though that may not be true, because you can drive a person away. You can beat them down with your words and your lack of communication or poor communication, to the point where they're just like, I don't want to do this no more.
This is true, man. So happy Mental Health Awareness Month, by the way. Like, we definitely want to encourage people to communicate with professionals, their loved ones. Like, I know it's a hard thing to do, to be vulnerable. In any capacity. But I think as we start to see it become more normalized, maybe we can start to actually work on what the heart of most of our issues are. Like, if you overeat, if you are on some type of party drug or whatever, drink, smoke, tobacco. Anyway, it's usually it's usually some right. It's
Dog.
usually some type of self-medication, right? And I think once we start to really address what's truly wrong, we can get to some interesting places. So why do you think you're a bad communicator when you're angry? What do you think is happening? Like, talk to me a little bit about the psychology and physiology of all that.
Okay, so in a nutshell, your the part of your brain that's responsible for your emotions is your limbic system, right? And like kind of like the best way I can explain this is that like your your prefrontal cortex has a lot to do with like your logic and reasoning and everything. It's also where like your language center is located and things like that. But also like in the parietal lobe too. But like, so anyways, your reasoning and your rationale, like they don't really get along like in your brain. And honestly, like that's kind of how you have to like approach like addiction medicine really. And
Right.
that's really what I explain to my patients a lot of times working in addiction medicine, because there's always like an element of mental health that goes with that.
Right.
So but in a nutshell, your limbic system and your prefrontal cortex, they just don't like each other. They don't dig, right?
Man,
So
can't we all just get along?
somebody has to have the spotlight.
Well, I mean, that's interesting too. We've talked before about the tennis pro who was involved in an experiment where he came in, got hooked up to some sort of machinery. He played tennis. They got some readouts. The next day, they had him just sit and think about playing tennis, and they got the same readouts. So the brain can't tell between reality and fiction. So there's a communication that has to happen there. Like, hey, this is real fear. This is nothing, right? The whole ideal of don't cry over spilled milk over here, but like, hey, that guy has a knife and he's running towards you, foaming at the mouth. You know what I mean? So it's always a constant thing that's happening. So it's something that we don't practice very often, but I think we should, right?
Right.
Actual
Well, our
practice.
brain only knows norepinephrine, right? Like that's the
Whoa, hold on. Say that to me like I'm a 5-year-old now.
a norepinephrine, that's kind of like your fight or flight hormone, So like
Oh,
when you are anxious or startled or anything like that would give you a boost of norepinephrine, like it does take your brain a second to realize it triggers your brain to go through a process of like, am I in actual immediate danger right now? What is the danger?
uh-huh.
That's what is it, And when you kind of realize, that, okay, I'm not in danger, you settle down, right? So, but
Right.
like people who struggle with anxiety, they don't settle, So
Everything's a knife attack.
yeah. So it's like, their cortisol levels and epinephrine, norepinephrine are probably like through the roof, like at all times,
Ooh,
firing at all
epinephrine. I know that
cylinders.
word for movies.
Look, I don't know why we not pretending like our brains aren't crazy, because our bodies be like, shut it down, it's freaking
Shut her
Oh, yeah.
down.
just shut
Go
this
home,
whole
Roger.
situation down, right? Because the brain
Right.
is crazy, and I feel
Oh
like
yeah, man.
so he's a brain fan. I don't even know if that's a good way to put this, where he's like everything the brain, and I'm always like, except for the brain and the body do communicate. They
Right.
both tell each other information, and I think sometimes we underestimate. At some point, the body's going to be like, "Hey, man, stop it! You're living in like." I feel like our body does at some point in time. Like I think that's why, like at some point in time, like your body literally does just start shutting stuff down. Like
I feel like our body does at some point in time. Yeah, it will. So that's interesting, because what you're trying to address is like physiology versus like consciousness, and that's kind of what gets humans in trouble, is our consciousness, like the ability to choose, what we want to do, So that's if you are in a constant, like, okay, like say like you have like a chemical imbalance that could cause like depression or bipolar or what have you, like a mood disorder, right?
Right.
If you're constant, or ADHD for that matter, like if you're in a constant state of like searching for like a serotonin and dopamine rush because you're just not like getting it, it's, or you're reabsorbing it and it's not hanging out in your synapses for it to be used, that's why we prescribe things like the reuptake inhibitor medications like SSRIs and SNRIs, and sometimes, dopamine inhibit, dopaminergics and things like that. So it's really there is like a very like chemical thing that's going on, and people who specialize in that are called neuropsychiatrists, and they are really smart and they know like everything. I don't know, they know a whole lot about the brain and how it correlates to like our moods and the psychiatry behind everything. So I think you would be quite interested in that, Jeremy.
Absolutely. Oh, rabbit hole, here I come.
Thanks so much.
All right, so we're gonna play a quick clip. All right, and so this is another experiment. I guess it's I don't know. Listen, all I can think of is matricide every time I look at you now. Like I'm laying down there, you really think about snuffing me out.
I
with
mean,
a
I'd
pillow.
have told you this before. Don't play.
I know, but I don't know why. But I'm like really thinking about it now. Anyway,
Don't worry, you'll forget.
they had an audio experiment, which basically they play an audio clip, and half the people hear one thing, and half of the other planet hears something totally different.
Oh, I love this game.
Scientists were like, get out of here. And they were going ham on each other. Like, you're a disgrace to the scientific community. You're just doing this to get clicks. And they were like, no, I really hear blah, blah, blah. Like, so we're going to play this game. We're going to play this clip maybe twice. And give me, what are the two words? Is it Laurel, or Yanni? Right? If you think it's Laurel, if you think it's Yanni,
dang, I wish you wouldn't have told me, because now I'm gonna hear both.
Okay, we'll see. If you think it's Yanni, you press one. Like it's a phone. You just put one in the chat. If you hear the
party line,
your age is showing.
I know. I was just like, what that thing is called with the jigger? What's his face? You know what I'm talking about. That boy to be Jeremy Jr. That's his name.
So to make it easier, if you hear Yanni, put Y in the comments. If you hear Laurel, put L in the comments. So we get.
I love
because we're not gonna remember what we said.
Producer extraordinaire.
Here we go.
Laurel, 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 Laurel. Laurel, 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 Laurel.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay, wife, I wrote my answer on a piece of paper and I folded it. All right, go ahead and give the people yours.
So I heard Laurel.
Okay, what'd you hear, Jazzy J?
Laurel.
Man, me too. Did that not work at all? See, this is why we need an audience.
What do you mean, did it not work?
No. I mean, no, just all of us agreed that we heard the same thing, but other people hear Yanni from
those
the same
people are
audio
trolls. Clip. That thing says Laurel. They're just trolling on Reddit.
Can we get some data on the people who hear Yanni?
Yeah, you know what? That would be great. I would love to see those numbers. Like in the Laurel Yanni, which one do you hear?
If it's like 5%, they're just trolling.
Think it's like 5%?
If it's like 5% Yanni, like they're trolling.
So I have a theory on this because
maybe
I'm
even
a spiritual
15.
guy. I'm a spiritual guy sometimes. You said
okay.
Maybe. So I think this goes back to the Tower of Babel. Are you familiar with that story?
Yes.
All right. So for those of you who aren't, people building a tower trying to get themselves into heaven. It's quite dangerous. It's quite stupid. So God strikes the tower down and he curses them all to have different languages and sends them in different directions. Okay. In certain groups. So that's the theory of how we, came up with all these different languages. And even with Google Translate, there's still a difficulty in understanding somebody, right? Because I actually had a client when I was a caregiver, and I didn't speak Spanish and he didn't speak English. And so we used the app a lot. And sometimes we would still get it wrong. And that's my theory. Tower of Babel. What are your thoughts?
What do I call this?
I said, what are your thoughts? What do you think?
Oh,
of
what are my
theory?
thoughts? I'm so sorry.
See? Miscommunication.
There he goes. I think that whoever says that they hear Yanni, you said it was Yanni that they're supposed to hear Yanni. I tried it every which way. They're trolls.
They're trolls. Okay. All
They're
right. So
trolls.
this is what happened with this group of scientists.
Okay, so
Here we go.
first off, let me just say I don't like this answer and what it implies because,
Lord.
I'll just read it and y'all take it how you want to take it. So it says, the real mystery of Yanni versus Laurel lies with sound frequency. The sound waves that allow us to hear Yanni is at a higher frequency, whereas the sound waves that allow us to hear Laurel at a lower frequency. As we age, it is common that we start losing our ability to hear the higher frequency sounds. So, I mean, they just called us old.
That is
But
the
what's the split?
crock of baloney I've ever heard.
Crock of baloney. I love it. I love it. So from the makers of FRAP, crock of baloney. What are the numbers, producer?
I'm trying to find it.
Okay. So yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah,
or is it just that younger kids are more likely to troll and are gonna say, "Oh yeah, I hear Yanni"?
So it says 47% of people hear Yanni, while 53% of people hear Laurel.
So it's really close to half and half.
Except for we are way over the. I mean, we're kind of like we're at 100% at least in this group.
Right. Well, the ideal of every almost fifth person hears one thing. Right. You said 40 what percent?
47 to 53.
47. Yeah.
So that would be almost every other person. It's almost 50-50.
Well,
Almost
right.
every other person.
Oh, sorry. I said every fourth person. I'm saying for almost 5 out of 5, 50-50. My bad. Every other person. So yeah, we kind of have broken. That's why I said, like, does it not work?
I'm with Jazz. They're lying.
They're lying.
If anybody out there hears Yanni for this recording, we're gonna play it again one more time. Anybody out there hears Yanni, please let us know.
I'm gonna listen so hard.
Laurel, 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 Laurel.
It's Cap.
Listen, man, I hear Laurel straight up. Like, I don't know.
It's
like,
Laurel.
I need to find some Yannis. I need to hook them up to a frapping, what do you call those, lie detector machines or whatever, right? And figure this out. But the idea of miscommunication was kind of coined by this guy. I'm looking it up now. It's a professor, Osmo Antoro Wiio. In 1978, he came up with the Wiio's laws of communication, which are usually surmised with human communications usually fail except by accident. So anytime we accurately hear each other, it's usually an accident. Okay, which is the main observation of this professor, Osmo Antoro Wiio. I'll try to put my Japanese roll tongue on there. Did it work? Antoro.
I don't believe him either.
Hey, Antoro. Well, I mean, you kind of proving his point. I think this. I don't believe him. Like, it's just so natural. It's so natural.
So
but the idea of whatever can be misunderstood will be misunderstood. Your thoughts?
Whatever can be under. Okay, I thought that he was saying something else. I thought that he was saying most I guess like most quarrels happen because of misunderstandings.
Okay.
Or most miscommunications happen because of misunderstandings.
Yes. No. So if communication can fail, it will. If communication cannot fail, it still most usually fails. So we're just literally saying very carefully, this is what I mean by this. We still kind of like always slightly off or just really off.
Okay, understand this. So I get what he's saying, but also too is a bit hyperbolic. Just a little bit.
Just
a little bit.
Okay.
No,
Explain.
because what he's saying is like, because we communicate in so many other ways other than just with our words, you know, we have our body language, our tone, our face, our, you know, affect, our volume, you know, the context of what you're saying. And like, actually, like when you do like a mini mental status exam on somebody, you kind of see if they're like in crisis mode or not. Like a lot of that has to do with their speech.
Except people are liars. Like people all the time. I once held a door open for a lady and she rolled her eyes and said, I don't need you to hold my door open. Like I've got no interest in you. And I know that's a one-off and that's very rare that something like that happens, but it does happen. Right.
Well,
now, by and large, people are like, oh, thank you, sir. And they move on. Right.
Sure.
But it happens even in body language.
Well, what I'm saying is there are so many elements to communication that, you know, at that point, it's a numbers game. It's going to fall apart somewhere.
Yeah, but it's your estimation that most communication on a day-to-day basis amongst us humans is accurate.
Yeah, I thought I was unique in coming up with that. Like I didn't know some Japanese doctor came up with it already.
Accurate. Like you're saying most communication is accurate as we just
misunderstand
each other twice now in the same setting.
No. Most communication is not accurate. But I do agree with the fact that like most misunderstandings happen because of a miscommunication.
Okay. Your eyebrows are doing your river dance again. What's going on over there?
Well, because to me, this is a semantics argument, right? Because in order to get an idea of even what he's saying is we have to define what does he mean by accurate? Because are we talking about the conveyance of information or are we talking about perfect understanding of the words that I utilize to speak? Because there is a lot that goes into that, right? Because if I use what I call paintbrush words or also, you know, 4-syllable words, maybe I'm communicating with a person who's like, I don't know any of the words you just said, lady. Or if, you know, Jazz is talking to a patient and she's using medical terms, she's being accurate, but that doesn't mean that the person actually understood what she said. So are we talking about, well, being perfectly accurate in the words that we're choosing, or are we talking about conveying information? Because I would argue that while conversations are maybe not completely accurate, I think to me what matters most is the conveyance of the information. So did we arrive at the same piece of information, even though maybe it took some dialogue and some questions to get there?
Right. So the dialogue and questions is necessary to have a more accurate and precise conversation is the problem. A lot of times we're either not having it. You have some people that like kind of smile and nod out of nervous, energy, and they don't know what FRAP is going on. Like I tell my kids all the time, don't just yes dad me and then get upset when I was like, hey, I told you to do this thing. It's like, what? When? Like, stop agreeing if you're not sure, right? I need to know this. And as far as me, like sometimes I'm misreading body language, right? Sometimes, according to the girls, 100% of the time,
try harder.
I'm misunderstanding what they meant by this eye roller. And so we developed a thing called, hey, you have to practice on your timing then, right? I'm getting on your sister and you start chuckling. Don't laugh at her. Oh, I wasn't laughing at her. I was laughing at something else I was thinking about that was funny. It's like timing. Be self-aware, be spatial aware, all these things. So I think what they're talking about is all of it, right? Not just the grammar, but the body language and, and I think once we get to that same spot that we're trying to get to anyway, that's usually an accident. It was like, man, thank you for that. I thought that you were saying this. And it was like, yeah, no, I was saying something completely different, but you did what I asked you to do anyway. So it worked out.
can you call persistent, repeated effort to arrive at a place an accident? Or did we get there on purpose while taking many different roads? Because I would argue that accidentally would be like we weren't trying to arrive at a place, right? We weren't trying to communicate information and that we stumbled upon it. But I imagine that if we're having a conversation and we're going back and forth because we want to understand each other, I don't find that to be an accident, even if we take a round circuitous route to get there.
Okay,
i.e. stating your intentions with this conversation off the rip, like from jump. Yes, like
but then you have to believe the person to be honest, and like in the English language, like it's one of the hardest to learn if you're not a first, if that's not your native tongue, because of all the different rules. Like this word can mean this word sounds like that, but it's actually something else, so on and so forth.
It's kind of weird.
Right.
Yeah, but I think considering a person just lying to you, that's a very different thing.
That's intentional miscommunication.
Right. Like if I'm lying to you, I'm intentionally misleading you on purpose because I'm trying to cover something up.
So you were never taught anything that you thought to be true and conveyed to somebody else, and it turned out to be inaccurate.
So is that a lie?
It's not a lie because it's not intentional.
Or is it misinformation?
It's misinformation.
Because those are two different things.
Right. A lie has to be coupled or cuffed with intention.
I'm going to need you to be more accurate.
Oh, there it is. Wiio, proven right again. Marriages everywhere just all took a big... But here's an example from a movie I love to death, The Departed. Have you seen this, Jazzy J?
Probably.
We have seen nothing. She's too busy ruling the medical world, right? I get it. So in this movie, the guy, let's see here. There's a situation where a guy was like, "Hey, come quick, there's a situation," right? And he gives him an address. The guy gave him the wrong address, but he showed up to the right one anyway somehow. Like that could be an example of like we're both trying to be as accurate as possible. I wasn't accurate, but somehow it just worked out. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Sure. Bang, bang. She shot me down. Bang, bang. I hit the ground. Bang, bang. That awful sound. Bang, bang. No? Okay. So, yeah, I don't know, man. So the tactics that some of these more learned people have come up with is like one of my favorites, which my wife, I'm going to try to judge her eyebrows over here. One of my favorites is if she says something like 2 + 2 is 4, I have to repeat to her. So you're saying 2 + 2 is 8. And then we can't move forward until she agrees that what I'm saying she said is correct. Did that come out right?
That you understand her?
Okay. She says 2 + 2 is 4. And I go, so you're saying 2 + 2 is 8? No, it's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying 2 + 2 is 4. So you're saying 2 + 2 is 4. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Then we can move forward with the conversation. It's very tedious. It takes a lot of time, but it's been eyebrow. Look, she's got a smirk on her face. Her eyebrows are doing the river dance. What is it? What is it, wife?
Murder would be easier.
There you go. So we're back to matricide. Matricide, kids, is the technical term for one spouse killing the other. Okay. So
the more you know.
We need juice. So anywho, side of bed over there. Okay. Anywho, maybe that's a sign that I'm talking too much. We need to wrap this up. Jazzy J, what are you wanting your kids to be able to do as far as communication?
Ooh. I would like for them to learn how to regulate their emotions a little bit better.
Yeah.
And I have to give them some slack because they're kids and they have not had to suffer the consequences of speaking from emotion, like for real, right. Because you don't really learn those lessons until like you're like late teens, all of your 20s and all of those things, so I just but if we can, on the times that we do regulate our emotions, like everybody involved, like we do have very productive like conversations and get to come to a resolution, which is the ultimate goal, right?
She's talking about me now. Lord have mercy, do I have that problem? I'm working on it, I promise.
It's the resolution that matters, so like so for example, like sometimes like when we are like real heated and like we can't effectively communicate anymore, right? Somebody has to have enough gumption to say, hey, we're not communicating effectively anymore. We need to take a break. And you take your break and you decompress. But the trick is you have to come back. Like you gotta come back. That is the golden ticket, like the golden rule. You have to come back to it. You can't just like end it at your break. You gotta come back to it.
Gotta recharge the old battery, man. Put your oxygen mask on first before you go and try to help your fellow passengers, right? Okay, we're gonna do something. I asked this question, towards the beginning of this, what the FRAP experience. I asked the question of people, if you are a car personified, what make and model are you and why?
Jeez. I admittedly don't know cars like that.
What car do you drive? Like, just make it fit your. I'll filibust for you. So for me, I said a clown car because you look at it and you're like, oh, look how funny and cute and weird and like this thing just makes me like, I don't know.
Is that ironic?
Weird, right? But as it starts, the clown car starts to unpack itself. There's way more than meets the eye. So yeah, talk to me. Make, model. What kind of car are you? My wife's very humble answer was
a Maserati, yo.
A Maserati, yo, and I am quoting.
I love, yes.
Why a Maserati, wife?
Because they are beautiful
and
they are powerful.
Oh yeah.
And what else do you need?
Again, her very humble answer. Jazzy J, no pressure. We're giving you the entire spectrum from a clown car to a Maserati. What do you got?
I'm probably like, I don't know, a Buick LeSabre, I guess.
A Buick LeSabre?
Please explain that. I cannot wait. I am salivating. I'm at the edge of my seat. Please. What the FRAP?
Let's ask your husband what kind of car
sturdy.
he would say.
Where is Craig? Where is Craig? For those of you who don't know, this is Craig Juday's beautiful wife, day trader and podcaster Craig Juday. Craig Juday. How was that not a frapping nickname in high school? Dang it, I missed it.
What?
Craig Juday. I don't know. So Craig Juday.
That's his name.
No, Craig Juday. Like, I don't know. I was doing the thing. Okay, here it is. Craig Juday, Trading Unfiltered. Go check him out, YouTube channel and whatnots. Good dude. What would he say your make and model is as far as your personality matching a car out there?
What would he say mine is?
Yeah.
Probably not a Buick LeSabre.
Just a
he might try to be funny.
Honda sturdy car. Just timeless with retro innards.
Retro innards. Lord have mercy. Like, you're not that old yet. Hey, go. I'm sure your ligaments still work.
I
feel. Perception is reality. All right. Before we get you out of here.
It would be a Chevy Silverado for sure.
Ooh, I like that. I like
that.
Chevy
Like
Silverado.
a new one. Like a new.
Like a new.
Because I got the new.
Hey, man, it has been a pleasure to speak with you. We're going to play one quick game before we get you out of here. We call it FRAP Yeah or FRAP No.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, God, I'm going to try so hard.
Right. So people who don't know about the word FRAP, Oh, it's the F word and crap smashed together to give people a more family-friendly way to, let out some emotions. Some emotions. Who that podcast out there says Craig is winning. Listen, I'm not gonna try to explain that. We just leave that. Shout out to Craig Jude out there. So listen, FRAP yeah or FRAP no. Here we go. Kids are smarter than they know. FRAP yeah or FRAP no?
Yeah. FRAP, yeah.
FRAP, yeah, I love it. What the FRAP podcast is the best show in the whole wide world?
FRAP, yeah.
Oh, man, you're supposed to say FRAP no, man. Check us
Why
out on
not?
Urban Academia, baby. Okay. Okay. Donald Trump and Joe Biden. FRAP yeah or FRAP no?
Elaborate on this question. What?
Oh, no.
Wait,
No.
I don't see
Wio's
why
law of miscommunication.
Yes or no.
No.
What are you asking
Donald
me?
Trump and Joe Biden. Yes, I put it that way on purpose. It was quite on purpose. Donald Trump and Joe Biden. FRAP yeah or FRAP no?
Okay.
Answer the question. That sounds like your consciousness or something, man. What happened there? What was that?
I just don't know exactly what you're asking me, so I'm going to give it a FRAP no.
Amen to that. FRAP no vote. That gum President Zilla and Mulder 2024, baby. Paperwork video coming soon. All right. Hot dog. A hot dog is a sandwich. FRAP yeah or FRAP no?
FRAP no.
Ooh, and there you have it. Listen, go ahead and we're gonna ask a couple of things of you. Be sure to just shout out the show and let everybody know, hey man, watch the What the FRAP podcast with Jay Zilla and his beautiful wife / producer, Asher. Okay? Make it your own, and then tell us a little bit about your guest spot coming up this Saturday with the premiere of Urban Academia.
So you guys come and join us on Saturday. If you have nothing else to do, we are here for you. We're going to be talking about overpopulation. Is it real? Is it not real? Is it an issue, or do we just feel like it because our personal space is being violated with our neighbors? So just kidding. Anyways, come in, join us, and we'll chop it up. And on Saturday evening at 7.
7 p.m. Central Standard Time, man. Before you step out, before you get, right, but that golden time, right in between, man, I just had a fresh shower and had my little pre-snack, my little pre-game. Before you step out looking all nice with your significant other or your friends, just throw us on in the background.
While your ladies getting ready.
While your ladies getting ready. Ain't nobody trying to go out at 8 o'clock. You know what I mean? On Saturday. So come hang out with us.
Oh, quit playing your sound.
Right. Now shout out What the FRAP podcast, man. And we'll get you out of here.
What the FRAP. Thank you for having me on. And it has been a joy talking to both of you. Lovely orators, might I add, wordsmiths of our time. It's been really fun, and I will see you guys on Saturday.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. Jasmine Adams Jude, aka Jazzy J, when she's on these here interwebs. All right, just me. Hey man, we want to thank her again. Shout out to Trading Unfiltered out there, Mr. Craig Jude, for lending us his wonderful, lovely wife to have this conversation. Before we get out of here, we're gonna play you a quick little video. Be sure to click. Oh, the wife's looking at me. Her eyebrows are dancing. I'm thinking studiogwb.com somewhere in the comments so they can see the website and all of those things. And I'm just going to keep talking like this till she gives me the thumbs up that is ready to go. This is you guys getting a peek behind the curtain of the podcasting world, especially when it's done live. Going live, let me just say this. Being live is wild as that comment arises from the, we got it. Is it up there? Hey, there you go. Click that link. We're going to give you a quick preview. So we had a guest on who coined the phrase snitch rights and snitch activism. I need y'all to go click right now and get your shirts. Enjoy the video. Thank you to our guest Jasmine once again. Go check her out as Chulo Rich and I welcome her on Urban Academia as we start the next round of podcasting.
I'm gonna tell you something, but we gotta stop the violence, we gotta vote. Stop the violence and vote. Because I did a show in Chicago. I mean that. Stop this violence. I was in Chicago, I did a show for Cook County Jail. And you know, over 40% of the brothers in jail for nothing. And they had a little survey, a little panel thing. We got to ask the inmates questions, you know. So I asked the inmate, I said, hey, my brother, what you in for? He said, nothing. Brothers got this thing about being a punk. What is a punk? I never did understand that for the sake of my life. He said, nothing. That's how long you in for? He said, ever? Now, you know, for a long time, you take the 4 off that motherfucker. I said, so what you in for? I ain't no punk. I didn't tell on my boy. I said, what, you in jail for no motherfucker? No, you ain't no punk. You a new fool. Cause I'd be dead if I serve time for any of you motherfuckers. I'll be in court just like this. Judge be like, who are you? I'll be like, punk. Your Honor, he killed that motherfucker. Shot him in the head 4 times, kicked him in the face. I tried to call you, but the line was missing. I'm ready to knock him out here.
This morning, a violent weather outbreak bringing tornadoes to Florida's Atlantic coast.
Now to that urgent and massive manhunt after that deadly mass shooting near Houston. The youngest victim just 8 years old. Police say the suspect here at International High School of New Orleans is making quite an impression on the college admission.
Dennis Barnes has gone into 125 colleges and universities. He's also earned millions in scholarships. That's how he did it.